Last orders at the bar.
It's a A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, I'll feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Alrighty, welcome everybody.
Hello.
You know, every time I watch that intro, I just keep thinking to myself, I need to review Beer Fest. I love that movie.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Super Troopers, but it's good fun film.
Well, you know what? It's hard to be better than Super Troopers. Certainly the first one.
I'm still of two minds. Do I do a video review of that, or do I do a happy hour on it? I'm gonna have to think about that one very carefully. But one way or another, I will cover it. Believe that. But the other thing that you need to believe right now is that we had a ton of super chats that came in on Open Bar the other night, and I think it's about time that we answered the outstanding ones.
Yes.
So I'm gonna jump right in with the Hidden Duck, who says Acolyte is the ultimate hold my beer meme for Star Wars. Yep. You think this is terrible? Well, hold my beer, the Acolyte's here. No says the power of one too many retards. Yeah, that sums up the writer.
That's the way to put it.
Full Meadow Crazy, Drinker, Longman, Gary Theory, all in one stream. Must be my lucky day. Hail all, and hail to Jay and Badger. Yeah, we were all here. We were united by our love of the Acolyte. What can I say?
We're saying goodbye to the Acolyte because, my goodness, such a shame we won't be getting more.
I know there might be a season 2. Who knows? But for now, I suspect that entire TV show is going to be forgotten within a week. Like, it will disappear from the consciousness.
Loads of people have had every opinion you can have about whether or not they'll do a season 2, and it's just like, you know, whatever will be, man. If they do it, they do it.
Matthew Dens. This is the second time they stole the SC-38 blade along the wall. Mando season 2 did it with the Gideon duel. I know, and it just looked shit every time. It's a shame, really. Stinglemeister, if Darth Plagueis is Discount Ezra Miller's secret master, does that mean we are to infer that Discount Ezra Miller is Palpatine? I mean, that would take some doing, because he'd have to be like 125 years old or something by the time of...
There are some things that even I don't think they would do, but you know what? They can surprise me. And so it could be he's struck by lightning and he turns into a young-looking Palpatine who'll be like, what? Why? And be like, it was the Force. You'll be like, okay.
Lightning keeps me young. That's the irony that's in store for him, you see. AWM Fishing says Darth Plagueis the cuck. Yep. Siggy Jokes says, the Acolyte reminded me of when I was unjustly shot by the cops when I quickly drew out my custom pistol-shaped wallet when asked for my credentials. I know, who could have predicted that something like that would happen, you know? It's so unfair.
Yeah.
Radio Spec says, my abject disappointment of the first on-screen representation of Darth Plagueis being in this dumpster fire is only offset by the amazing encouragement I got from the panel last week on starting a YouTube channel. The first video is now underway. Cheers. Good luck to you on that, man. I hope it goes well. This one, God, this is going to take some pronouncing. Gabor Zelensky says, in the fight between Saul and Ezra Miller, Saul's stunt double looks into the camera directly in slow motion. Guess they didn't have the money to fix it in post. Well, you know, I had 180 million.
Yeah.
Joe King Lee says Smilo Ren equals creamy sheave. I don't think he is. I just don't believe it.
No, I don't either.
Moses Lack says, Drinker, based on your garb, I see that you're trying out for the Secret Service. Good for you. I know. I think I'm more competent than the people at Trump's fucking security detail. So, yeah.
Next fucking rally, we got Drinker in the background, like, I'll save you.
He's like tottering off the stage with a bottle in hand, like, fuck.
If it's a shooter, and you throw the ball at his head. You're like, ow.
Lance says, I can fix her. I mean, who? Like Leslie Headland? Amanda Senberg? Wait, there's a lot of fixing to be done there either way. Craig the Bad Guy says, Plagueis is supposed to be a scheming political mastermind and banker. Instead, he's fapping in his goober cave to Smilo and Osha.
He's clearly a cave goblin, and I won't hear anything else.
I think so, yeah. Eli Cash. I'm surprised we didn't see that cave along with Plagueis, Nihilus, Visite, Crate, Palpatine cheering the twins on. You go, girls, with popcorn. I mean, yeah.
Why not?
Genmai Shah says, question for the panel. Who has the best butt chin in the whole of the Star Wars universe? Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Ian McDermott, or Niatus Dadbe? Yeah, so who's got the best bum chin? Well, Harrison Ford doesn't have one, does he? He's just got a scar.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill, he doesn't have one either. He's just got a horrifying monster face. Ian McDermott, I think he's got one. Hold on.
Oh, we could give it to him if we want.
Yeah, let me see. I keep seeing a beard, you see. He's always got a beard going on to hide it. Classic maneuver. But yeah,
Very
he just
Palpatine of him
there, so I'll give that to him. I also say he is one ugly motherfucker in real life.
That's why he cast him.
Yeah. I just think back to when he was playing him in Return of the Jedi, right? So that's like 40 years ago. And okay, they did a lot with the makeup, but it felt like there was an old man face underneath that makeup, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely, dude. That was one of the things with the prequels I got confused out when I was a kid, because I was like, that's not the same actor, right? And my dad was like, yeah. And I was like,
but how is he still alive? And he's still going. Grendel Vivat says, ironically, I almost admire Disney consistently lowering the bar from, well, it's not as bad as TLJ to as bad as The Rise of Skywalker to as bad as Boba Fett to as bad as Kenobi, as bad as Ahsoka, and now as bad as The Acolyte. That takes serious effort.
Dude,
it does. And
when I heard Theory say he misses the sequels now, like, because of how bad it's gotten, I was like, oh my God.
Please stop. That one guy says, sticking to a plot and staying rational is the path to the dark side. Lesbian headlamp. Yeah, you can quote her on that. Roger Tirazona says, sheer ineptitude of the Acolyte is a travesty, akin to a grotesquely incompetent attempt to paint the Sistine Chapel with a mop and a bucket of mud. Pretty much, yeah. But it's not mud, it's shit. Carlos Rue says, in the graceful words of the eternal NPC, it vadered. Yeah. Logan Johnson. Greetings, panel. I want to say great work on your coverage of The Acolyte, and if you could remake the show, how would you guys do it or go about it? Yeah, we've had questions like that. I think I would need a bit more time than I can, come up with in the space of like a minute or so on a super chat answer, but I think there is a way to salvage this and draw some interesting storylines out of like what building blocks they've given us here. I think it can be done. It just needs a bit of time and effort put into it.
Not kidding about that Jedi Enforcer. I would build the story around him, and the realization at the end of the season will probably be that he gets his job done, but at what cost,
Yeah, I think that's
what do
fair.
we lose from the Jedi being in power? Because there should be an answer to that question that's interesting. And
I think you could put them into positions where they have to make difficult moral choices in terms of preserving their order and like the greater good that they do in maintaining peace throughout the galaxy versus maybe sacrificing an innocent life or covering up a crime or something like that. You could definitely do that and make an interesting storyline out of it.
Yeah.
Reggie Reg. Haven't heard one word you numbskulls have said. I'm just here for Snarky J. Well, okay. You can just put us on mute, I suppose. Also, do you think Cholesterol will get his own spin-off? I mean, maybe, yeah, where he's got to train and get in shape or something. Or, he's faced with the eternal challenge of people who can run faster than him, and he's got to try and chase them.
Dude, it's unironically so fucking funny that if you and I were handed that character as is for season 2, both of us would immediately be like, so he's going to go on a journey where he's going to have to learn discipline. He's going to have to be humiliated somewhat at the beginning, right? By like his lack of fucking ability, blah, blah. But I think that most of the studios would be like, what are you talking about? And we'd be like, oh, Like you, okay?
Yeah, it's like that's not the world we live in. It's like, so he's just amazing the way he is. Sure, okay, let's go with that. Fine. Lord J says Yoda couldn't sense anything because he was too busy doing ketamine in his 2003 Honda Civic and busting out sick donuts in the Walmart parking lot. Sure, yeah, that's what he was up to back then.
That's how Yoda.
Yeah. Zace says, I thought making magic wasn't for amateurs. Well, it is now. Mocaines says Pinocchio was less wooden than Leslie's wife. Yeah, she was a low point of this show in terms of acting ability.
And dude,
that's
she's going to be possibly the main character of season 2.
Yeah. Like go for it, Leslie.
If they make it, of course, because it's going to be all about her and her apprentice. It's like, oh, God.
Spare us. Marius says, hello, drinker, and hello, Mauler, long-time listener and fan of the bar. I've got a big writing project I want to pitch to you. Where would I be able to do that? Also, Gary, theory, you rock. Nice. And yeah, in terms of pitching writing projects, I'm kind of, I guess I would just question what it is you want from us. Do you want us to like help you publish it? In which case, you'd be better going to a literary agent or something rather than us. Yeah, there's only so much we can do for you in terms of like helping you along that path. Like you kind of have to find publishers and stuff yourself.
If you're open for general writing advice based on whatever you've written so far, I've just said since I've started, like I can't offer that because if I did, I imagine I would get an influx of people requesting it, and then I wouldn't be able to do it fairly.
Yeah.
I appreciate your passion. Best of luck. If you want to send like a super chat asking about a particular element, we'd probably happily like discuss it somewhat. But yeah, we can't. Between me and Drinker, we have about 1 second of free time per week.
Yeah, we can't be reviewing manuscripts and stuff. It's just it would take way more time than we've got available, sadly. Beta says, any chance of this podcast get added to the Apple Podcasts app? This is the only one I listen to that's not there, or if it is, I can't find it. Yeah, I don't know if you do this with EFAP at all, whether you put it on Spotify or Apple or whatever. Like I've always just kind of kept mine on YouTube.
I think a fan did. I haven't because I'd never figured it out, and I totally should have though.
Yeah, I mean, with Open Bar, it's 99% audio rather than visual. You know, in terms of what we show people and stuff. So it could be done. I guess I'm just. I don't know if there's enough interest. Like, okay, it's great that you want it, but like, is there enough other people to make it worth doing or what? I'm not sure. Kyle Rivas says $10 million less than Dune Part 2. That's kind of a terrifying prospect.
Jesus.
Campbell Patterson. Hey guys, been a while. Well, now that The Acolyte is over, I can finally go back to watching the first 5 seasons of Thomas. Now that's some good TV. Thomas? Like, what, like Thomas the Tank Engine?
Obviously.
I don't know. In which case, sure, yeah, go for that. Third Right says, Drinker, you beautiful bastard. Will you and the Long Man be watching the TNG movies together? Also, this is my first super chat. Well, welcome. Yeah, I don't know if that's something we would ever do. Like, I've put you off them, I suspect.
Well, I was put off them well before I even met you. That's their reputation. They're just terrible. But I mean, I am no stranger to watching terrible films. So, like, if you want to do that at some point, I mean, it could be maybe wait until I've seen TNG and maybe we do it then, so we can just discuss what they get wrong.
I think so, yeah. Because to compare what you experienced from TNG, storytelling wise, and so on, versus the movies, like. Wow, yeah, it's like night and day, and so it's quite a letdown. Whereas I don't feel like there's too much of a drop in terms of storytelling quality from the original series to the movies. They're very different, obviously, in terms of the production and so on, but I feel like the writing quality is still there for the most part. Aberrations aside, you know. But yeah, with TNG, it's a bit more of a drop off, and that was kind of the beginning of the end of old Star Trek. It all collapsed with Star Trek Nemesis, and then it's just that ushered in the bad times with J.J. Abrams. So, yeah, bad memories.
No franchise deserves J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, no. Squishy Blue says she needs to go off and wax the beaver. Okay, good advice for anyone. Accident Seller. Wow, Jay, drunk C3PO looks hot here today. Big difference. I'm not sure what.
Well, because they both
Not sure
called
what
Jay, right?
Well, yeah, that's fair. Okay. Norm Alman says Disney could make money or make more money if they made a 3-hour movie jangling keys, although it will cost $3 billion to make somehow. Yeah, they'd find a way.
Do you love how everybody, like, without fucking fail, everyone was like, so who they baiting at the end? Like, that's just
Yeah.
ubiquitously that's just what you... Can you make a TV show where you just don't do that? I would, if we were tasked with making season 2, it would be like, oh, we got to have some kind of fun bait at the end, right? And it'd be like, what if we don't? What if we just didn't?
Well, look at Andor. Like, for the most part, they avoided that sort of thing. Still told a
The
good story.
big sort of end of credit scene was simply the realization that the components being created in that prism were a part of a project. And it's like, what project? Like the Death Star. And you're like, oh shit, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's like
But that was as far as it went. They didn't feel like they needed to have like a random character shoehorned in or anything.
yeah, there's no, I guess you could say if you watched it in the chronological order, that would be a bit of a like, oh my god, what is that? But obviously they're aware that we've seen Star Wars. And so it's more of a, that's actually a really good example because it's not a key jangle. It is a, do you feel satisfied thematically and storytelling wise that is what the components required to create something as horrifying as the Death Star was, all the way down to prisoners in, random prisons all over the place.
No, I think it's a good thing to play upon, and it's exactly, it's exactly how the Empire does things. So I think internally it's quite consistent.
Yeah.
Which was nice. It was earned. It was an earned bit of key jangling. Waxy says, hey, Drinker, if you don't know what to watch, I can highly recommend the new series Presumed Innocent on Apple TV, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. Well, I do like Jake, so it's a good choice. Rossi says, get Badger and Theory on a Star Wars stream together. Well, I just did.
Yeah.
Accident Seller says, Acolyte was so bad I got a refund from Pirate Bay. Yeah. Daniel, I honestly, we joke, but I think they do have metrics for like how often things get pirated in terms of the number of servers and torrents that are active.
For
a
sure.
particular thing, and like it's way down. It's like people won't even pirate it for nothing.
Let's be honest, there's going to be a strict correlation, like a pretty cogent one, between how popular a show is and how much it's pirated. It's rare that they like are wildly different. There are definitely instances where they would be, but I remember Game of Thrones was breaking records for most pirated show of all time at its height, and Breaking Bad and stuff. And it's like the Acolyte, it's not even a blip. No,
yeah, been and gone, done. Daniel Bordola says, now that Critical Drinker is a movie director, when are we going to hear about his sexual misconducts? Well, you don't have to wait. I mean, I can just tell you, man, it was great. I had a wild time on Rogue Elements. Logan Johnson says, also, have any of you on the panel played the Ultimate Edition of the Force Unleashed's DLC, where Starkiller was Sidious's apprentice in place of Vader? I think that would have been an interesting story to explore further.
I don't think I played that. That doesn't sound familiar.
I haven't done, no. Jeremy Soden says, the Acolyte is Leslie Hedron's audition to replace Kathleen Kennedy.
Ugh.
Well, yeah. I can see why Kathleen Kennedy greenlit it, put it that way. Overwatch channel says, thanks for reviewing The Acolyte. Your reviews are funny and entertaining. Congrats to Snarky J for 100,000 subs. The Acolyte inadvertently boosted so many YouTube channels. Yep. It's the next terrible thing that's...
Same old story. It drives... Anti-entertainment drives people to entertainment, I guess. It's like, why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I remember Game of Thrones was the main one for this, of people flocking to the internet to be like, am I crazy or was that awful?
Yeah.
And that is happening all the time. Am I crazy?
Well,
when you find people who are like, no, you're not crazy.
Well, now I don't think there's any doubt. People are just like, no, this show is terrible, and I just want to see people trash it. And you get the meme of like, oh, I don't watch the show, I just watch your reviews of it to watch you mock it. But I think that has become a real truth in a lot of cases. People are just out to see it get shit on because they know it's going to be bad.
Well, and yeah, we talked about it. It's evolved into its own form of entertainment. People enjoy watching you tear apart sort of projects that they themselves are trying to tear apart what they love. It's this weird cycle, but they've earned it.
They absolutely have, yeah. Reggie Reg, Basil's heel turn was worse than any in WWE history. Yes, because at least those ones are usually earned in some way. Here's
To
one.
this day, we will never know why Badger did what he did.
Fucking baffling, man. Nathan says, I think it was a tractor beam. Osha hesitated to shoot her sister with a stun pistol as if it would have been a kill shot. That is very true, yeah. Like, I don't know what kind of importance characters attach to, like, non-lethal force in this, but it's bizarre.
Yeah.
Chris says, we're all dumber for watching this garbage. Yes, but, like, I can pass mine off as alcohol abuse, so it's okay. Ty Basket says, Hail Drinker, today's my birthday, also my first ever super chat. I'd like to know if you have seen the trailer for Arcane Season 2. Gladly, it's the second season, but sadly also the final one. Also, fuck Disney. Yes, I second that. And yes, I've seen it, and it looks good. I'm intrigued, and I'm hopeful it's going to be as good as the first season.
You got a lot of pressure to be good. Arcane Season 1's highly rated by the world.
Yeah. Zach Muffin says, when TLJ hit, I turned to the Eldritch God. When The Rise of Skywalker hit, I turned to the Scotsman. When Marvel imploded, I turned to the Meth Head. Now that you're all together, maybe I'll stop being so dizzy. Dale. Cheers, man. Some dude says, Leslie Headlamp said she is writing this show for her sister. This poorly acted, badly written nonsense. If I was her sister, I would be offended and go tell Leslie to pound sand. I think that's probably the correct response, yeah. Yeah, imagine if you were the woman who realized, like, oh, fuck, this is all because of me. This is all her therapy session to try and deal with our relationship.
God.
I'm sorry, world. Dave's Arc says, hey, Theory, has the Sith ever considered switching from force choke to force testicular torsion? If they're evil, what's stopping them? That's true, actually. That'd be more effective.
It's a plot hole right there.
Yeah. Ministry of Wrongthink. Interesting that they got the two Asian actors to do Cringing Tiger, Hidden Dragon wire work. Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Lost. It's bizarre Disney can't figure out a way to make Sith sympathetic without everyone else being pants on head stupid. Warhammer 40k does it a lot. I know, it's the power of good writing, you see. Casey Boyd. You know, many YouTubers may hate modern Star Wars, but I think a lot of channels would die without Disney content to crap on. I don't think they would die. I just think they would have to move on to other things as well. And it's nice to have a balance of content. Everyone enjoys memeing on Disney shit products, but there's plenty of other bad movies out there and good ones as well.
Something people don't ever add on to the end of that is, say, for example, like if Disney wasn't something you could just relentlessly shit on, then you wouldn't have a career. It's like, so what was I doing before I did that? And you're like, well, not that. And you're like, exactly. I'll just go back to not doing that.
Yeah.
We'll be fine without. If Disney disappeared overnight, we would have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, like Disney disappearing.
Overnight, yeah.
Yeah. Accident Seller says, Basil Beaver has a master Bishun addiction. That's why he disappears all the time. He didn't try to stop Saul shooting May's ship. He was just trying to delete his internet search history. Possible, yeah. J-Man says, crazy horrible theory. Osha and May are two parts of the same person. Plagueis will kill them to make life and they will become whole, becoming Anakin. That's so retarded it probably is true.
We'll see.
Arizona anime fan says, anyone else catch the undertone that Saul was some sort of pedo? That seemed to be what they were hinting at with the whole story arc. I don't think that's what they were going for. I just think it was really crap writing and bad choice of dialogue there. But it's not hard to make the connection, I suppose. It's just awkward. Snex says, Osha bleeds the lightsaber easier than Vader because she's a woman and it's that time of the month. I see your themes there, lesbian headlamp. Yeah, we did talk about this.
That poster in retrospect is still really weird, isn't it? The blood smear.
Yeah, I mean, the internet had a lot of fun with that one when they just replaced the lightsaber with a tampon and stuff. That's brilliant. You're just leaving yourselves open to abuse there. The thing is, though, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I've seen a lot of posts about this saying that, like, this whole bleeding of lightsaber crystals is a relatively recent addition to canon and it was never really a thing before. And
so what's so interesting to me is that's a conversation that goes so far back, right? We start with Vader is bad guy. His lightsaber has to have an evil color. What have we got? It's like red. Red works, yeah. It's contrast and it. No, it just works. That's like cool. And then we introduce some more bad guys past the OT, and it's like, what color should their lightsabers be? And it's like, red, I guess. And then George has to come up with a reason for that, right? Because it can't just be that they're all picking red because that's their favoritist color. That's weird. So it's like, so what is it? And from what I gather, it's synthetic crystals, which the Sith had less access to kyber crystals than the Jedi did, or rather, the Jedi had a sort of monopoly on them. So they created synthetic ones, and the definitive color of a synthetic crystal is red. It's like, that makes sense to me. Then that works way better. When Disney took over, they changed it to you are so mad your feelings bleed into your crystal and that turns them red.
Yeah,
I hate it. I think that's cringe.
Yeah, I mean, a lightsaber is a technological device. It doesn't need to be this like magical mood ring that's linked to your psyche. So,
well, do you know about apparently Ahsoka's ones are white because she bled her purity feelings into her crystal?
Fuck off. I think
isn't that just so cringy? Like, stop it.
If there's the equivalent of a cringe orgasm, I think I just experienced one right there. I can't take it.
So it's just like, stop it. I actually prefer to that the my favoriteest color. I would rather all the Sith say, I really like red. It's a Jedi's color.
Something like that, yeah. Or it's just like, that's my way of showing my affiliation with the Sith. Like,
That's how I assume the Jedi do it. I don't need the whole no, blue means you're really good as a swordsman, green means you're much better with the Force, and purple means you got a bit of dark side in you. I'd be like, I don't need that.
Or like becoming a Sith Lord, it's like a rite of initiation. You've got to go to this real dangerous planet to retrieve like a red kyber crystal from a really horrible volcano or something. And it's like, until you get that, you're not a proper Sith. Like, okay, again, like that's fine.
Tradition.
Okay, fine. You've done a bit of world building there, and it's baked into the lore. But yeah, your fucking feelings do it. Get lost.
I don't like it. Yeah.
Casey Boyd, have you watched any of Jesse Grant's videos? He's as far as I know, he's talked about me and Gary and stuff quite a bit. I think according to him, like, I've been targeted for assassination by Disney and Hollywood and stuff, but I've also simultaneously like brought down the entire media complex and inspired Elon Musk to sue Disney and cure cancer and brought about world peace. And so I don't know. I've been a busy guy, I guess.
I get to be friends with that guy.
Do you feel special now?
Yes.
Ek Lampert says, I just got told that bad writing, bad acting, and bad choreography is not valid criticism for the Acolyte by Blind Waves Chat in their live stream. Take my money, you quote right-wing grifters. Direct quote from their chat. Isn't it funny, isn't it? You point out like actual problems with the writing and production and stuff, and it's like that makes you right-wing and like alt-right or whatever. Well, fuck off. Like, how to devolve it of any meaning?
When you're dealing with a person who likes or dislikes content based on whether or not it agrees with them politically, they'll assume that of you as well.
Yeah.
So if they've decided this particular thing is of a particular wing of the fucking political aisle and you don't like it, that must mean you're a part of the other one, and I don't like you automatically if that's the case. You're like, oh, okay.
It's hilarious that that's what criticism has devolved into at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Joke. Gatekeeper says, awesome to see so many YouTubers I like with my favorite YouTuber. I'm jealous, Badger. Wish you all continued success and good health. Well, thank you very much, my friend.
Yeah.
CJ Definum says, I honestly think Plagueis was introduced just to piss off Theory.
We were all thinking about it when we saw the little goblin.
Yeah. Oh, no. I hope he's okay. Slain Hope says, if Torb / Saul obeyed the council, the witches would still burn.
So if we run it as you cannot interfere with the culture, did they order them to come back? No, they didn't, right? They said you've got to continue looking for the source of the virgins. That's what the Jedi Council asked them to do. Then Torben discovered that the virgins very well likely will be the blood sample. And as everyone fucking pointed out, why didn't they talk to the Jedi Council once they discovered that information? If they did, would the Council have said, okay, we're sending people because you've just discovered something unprecedented in our universe? In which case, that would be a more interesting story than Torben goes, I'm going to run off, and then stops at the gate, and then Sol detects the children are in trouble, which makes it unambiguous that the Jedi did the right thing.
Yeah. But they're still evil somehow.
It's unreal to me that they showed us all of that because they knew it wouldn't make sense otherwise, and then they don't allow the characters to reference those things. It's actually fucking infuriating.
I think it's just interesting when you don't actually have any moral compass of your own. That's going to be inevitably reflected in your work. And there you go. There's the acolyte.
It's in the EFAP TV coverage, but like I was made quite annoyed by Sol's fate. It just pisses me off that he did like most of my issues with him aren't in the past; they're all in the present of the investigation. He was a retard in loads of different ways, and he was immoral, right? Like letting his Padawan or letting Yord die when he could have done something, anything. He just doesn't. So to now be at the point where it's all framed so that he was the evil, like that, it's just gross. And it's like, yeah, but what about season 2 might, deal with that? And it's like, I don't think it can.
You can't come back from that. You can't
it's
fix
not even
that.
It's narratively speaking, they need the lie to continue for Phantom Menace to make sense. They clearly know, like they're aware somewhat. I think that's why Ki-Adi-Mundi was there. It's like a middle finger to the audience. Like, yeah. We know that you're going to complain, but we're smart. We know what we're doing. They weren't.
No, absolutely. Dan Highstand says, Anakin literally killed Jedi Knights, Masters, and children while turning into Darth Vader, and his saber was still blue, but Osha's turns red. The whole show has no respect for lore and made no sense. Yeah, that is exactly what we just described about bleeding the lightsabers. It's bullshit.
Well,
Nick,
I hate to be a prick about it, but they did show the crystals touching your hand, like it came through the lightsaber.
It shouldn't even have functioned then.
I don't fucking. I agree with you. I said in the coverage, I was like, "So it's broken," and Ryan was like, "I don't know if they're saying it's broken." And I was like, "Surely it should be. It's protruding out of the fucking lightsaber." Like,
yeah, it would be like slicing the barrel of a gun so that it exposes a round that's in the breech.
Yeah.
At that time, it's like it's not going to fire properly now. It's fucked. Nicholas Cook says, what if Leslie critically failed and made the Sith the good guys, but due to all of their restrictions, why do I feel that the Jedi fell to DEI and that's why they're the villains? Just saying. I mean, it's, when there's no fucking idea of what the morality of a show is, anything can happen. This is one of the many problems.
You could smell on this show that it was like, hey, the Sith, the definitively evil team? I think they kind of misunderstood.
Yeah.
And you can tell,
aren't we edgy? Aren't we cool?
You can tell that fucking story, but not that way, where you just make them unambiguously evil, and then you're like, oh, it's curious, isn't it?
It makes you think. No, it doesn't, because you're an idiot. Ministry of Wrongthink. Anakin kills the Tuscans after his mom is killed. He slays younglings, tries to kill Kenobi with Sith eyes and pure hatred in his heart. His saber stays sky blue. Osha accidentally turns her saber red after 5 seconds of anger. Yep. Bacon Head says, here's some beer money, drinker. Mublishy, I'd love to see you check out the Astartes project on YouTube.
I think I've seen it. Like the problem is it's so out of context for me because I don't know anything about Warhammer, but it seemed really cool.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of just the animation and stuff, it looked great, I thought. Jay Smart says, did I give you the idea for the Last Order's intro? Possibly. Great minds think alike. Am I going to shamelessly take credit for it? You bet your beer-stained sunglasses that I am, and you should. Go for it. Lost says, basic idea. Padawan gets disillusioned with the Jedi being detached from common people suffering, and a Sith comes in to help them. Just something. Yeah, I think, again, there's a lot you could play with there in terms of like the morality of being a Jedi and how much do you give into your emotions to help the common person versus like sticking to a mission or a bigger purpose or, the greater good and following the orders from the Jedi Council. There is a lot you could do with there. That's ultimately Anakin's fall to the dark side comes from his emotional attachment to people. Yeah,
and I've mentioned this before, but like the amount of work that went into certain posts about how good the Acolyte is, they would make up huge backstories and analysis for characters like Torben that aren't in the show at all. And all I would do in reading it would be like, man, Disney is so lucky they still have fans who are willing to just tell a story that wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Most franchises don't get that benefit, but it's part of why Star Wars can endure this long. is that there are longtime fans who were told those stories, inspired by them, and now can just like in such overwhelmingly stupid good faith watch a thing and imagine a better story and then pretend to themselves that that was the story they saw.
Yep. It's amazing that they get away with that for so long. Brick and Blue says, I would be working on my video on this shitty show, but I'm currently banging my head against the wall with Owen S. in Dead Space 1. Thanks for the game recommendation, Mauler and Metal.
Dead Space
1. Anakin Stark.
Oh, no, I'm making fun of you.
Oh, okay.
As much as I love you. It's a different DS.
Dark Souls 1?
You got it. There's loads of DS.
There we go.
Enough, but
fuck it. I don't know what all these stupid like abbreviations are.
ONS is the possibly best ever duo boss from Software, and I remember my first beating of them. I was fucking happy with myself. It's good shit. Continue to bang your head against them. All right, it's a path of the warrior. Yeah, that's what they say.
I've been thinking about this kind of style of gaming recently because I just completed Stellar Blade actually a few days ago. After the fucking Raven fight, which I'd be lying if I said I enjoyed that one, but yeah, I eventually got through it, and I did sort of think, like, was it worth the amount of deaths that I took to get through to the end? The sense of accomplishment and the story that actually like kept it going. I'm slightly torn on that. It was definitely a fun game in the moment-to-moment gameplay, that's for sure. But yeah, I know that the Souls games are probably a level above what I would be willing to invest in any game.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, let's be honest, Elden Ring is like one of the most popular games ever, even though it follows that formula somewhat.
Yeah, well, I mean,
depends who you talk to as to whether it's hard or not. That's a huge controversy that's been going on with it.
Well, I think if you were to, I guess, compare the difficulties of something like Stellar Blade and Elden Ring, like Elden Ring's clearly going to be a level above Stellar Blade. And that's probably, again, more than I want to put into a game, just in terms of the amount of time that I have. And like some of it might just come down to innate skill. Like I think some people are just generally going to be better at stuff like that, whether it's like, you know, better hand-eye coordination, faster reactions, or better sense of timing and rhythm and stuff that you really need for a game like that. And you know, if you don't have that, you're going to have to put in a lot more time and effort to get to the level you need to be. And I think I just don't have that time. So, you know, there's different games for different people,
which is okay. Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's cool to just say like, yeah. That one's not quite for me, but I respect the people that play it, and like you're getting a lot out of it.
Doesn't make you any less of a human being. It doesn't make me think of you as less. None whatsoever.
Although the fact that you had to say that now makes me question it. Anakin Stark says the show blew more than an OF girl. OnlyFans. The amount of copium from the supporters is sad and pathetic. So bad from all angles. Fucking sad that they greenlit this show. It is, and man, I just think the wasted resources on this is the worst thing, because I've said it before. The amount of smaller projects that you could have greenlit with this amount of money, that, you know, some of them probably would have paid off, and they would have had way more passion put into them and way more skill, probably. That's the sad state of the industry, I suppose.
Yeah.
John Papa Sergio, I don't drink, but I drink at this bar. Great seeing you all together, and good seeing Snarks join the fold. Yes, she's become part of the open bar gang. P4 Days says, Furry Group just hacked Disney and dropped 1 terabyte of info on everything. Check some Ordinary Gamers video. Yeah, I've heard about that. Disney got hacked. I don't even know if they're anywhere close to like getting through all the stuff that's been released or what, but yeah, it'll be interesting.
It's a lot of data. Have you heard that Kevin Feige said that he thinks the lack of interest now in superheroes is to do with the homework factor?
Sure, yeah, that's the problem, Kevin.
You know, I was thinking Deadpool Wolverine is going to probably make a lot of money. The homework for that is more intense than most things. You've got to watch, if you truly want to understand everything that's going to be in that film. We haven't even seen it, and I can tell you, you need to see Loki seasons 1 and 2, possibly more than that in the MCU to get a full context. Deadpool 1 and 2, and then the Fox X-Men films, which
because
and that's different franchises all over the place as well.
because like Wolverine was in basically all of them in some capacity, and so there's probably going to be references to all of them, especially the shitty ones.
I rank that as absolute horseshit as an excuse. I don't think people give a single shit about homework fatigue when the movie itself is just enough on its own to be like, I want to see this.
It's funny, like he will come up, like him and probably everyone like him will come up with every possible excuse apart from the actual correct one, which is maybe our films just got a bit shit.
I suppose he can't say that, even if he believed it, he wouldn't be able to say that, as in like, holy fuck, we've been missing significantly.
I mean, I suppose not. No, like it's career suicide, I suppose. But yeah,
it'd
be nice if they just had a sudden attack of honesty, like at some maybe industry event or like a Comic-Con or something, where it's like, where do you think Marvel could improve, or where do you think they went wrong? And he just
when he's on his deathbed, he'll say that.
Yeah, it's like, we
fucked
just
up.
produced a bunch of shit movies, and I'm sorry.
It wouldn't be a stretch at all, because the thing that surprised me was Bob Iger saying they needed to be more supervision for the creation of the Marvels. I was like, whoa, that feels like more than you ever usually say.
Oh yeah. John Burns says, Drinker, Space Ice Acolyte vid, great satire. Yeah, that is a really good one, actually. I don't know if you've watched it, Marver.
Which one's that?
Space Ice. It's a YouTube channel. He usually covers like old 80s movies and crappy Steven Seagal direct-to-video films and stuff. But like he decided to do one about the Acolyte, and it's fucking glorious. Like he's so funny.
I haven't. Maybe I should check that out.
I think you get a good laugh out of it. Yeah, I think you'd enjoy it. GLJ says, I realized that you could only watch the last episode of Acolyte and get the entire story. All the characters, all their stories, no convoluted crap. Even a full recap of the entire season is in that episode.
Well, you're almost to the final conclusion, which is you could just not watch the Acolyte.
You'd be happier.
Fucking worthwhile in there.
ETK says, it takes a lot to turn the biggest franchise in the world into a pile of shit, but well done, Kathleen Kennedy and Disney. You've done it in record time.
Hell yeah.
It's quite an achievement. Brick and Blue says, Mauler, don't hide your feelings about Winter Soldier. I watched the EFAP. I did say you bite your tongue there.
No, I don't have to bite, but when we talked about it, it was like it's one of the most beloved MCU movies. If you guys think I'm autistic enough to fucking like start an argument with everyone whenever they talk about what they like, God, can you imagine? I wouldn't have any friends. I am more than happy for people to share their love and dislike of things that I both dislike and love. It totally makes sense. It's just funny because all of chat will be like, hey, well, you're going to say something? You're going to speak up? It's like, what do you mean speak up? They're allowed to like Winter Soldier. Fucking hell. I've liked movies that I've eventually turned on, or I still like movies that I do think are bad. Like, it's totally normal. And, for the sake of discussion about the state of Marvel, I would take 1,000,000 Winter Soldiers over an Acolyte. What? That's a slip of the tongue. I don't mean, because the Acolyte's not even fucking Marvel, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get you. Darius White says, I don't think even Mauler's most positive critic in the world persona could find anything good to say about the Acolyte. Challenge accepted. I mean, there's bound to be a shot in it somewhere that looked nice.
Well, yeah, we've talked about how the act of his soul, he's got expression. Do you remember that one moment in one episode where he gets to just he's in like his ship, and he just
love how specific you're having to be. Remember that one episode for like 10 seconds where
it literally is that. I think it's exactly about 10 seconds. He has a moment to acknowledge all the people who died, and he gets to act. It's like the best part of the whole franchise.
Yeah, he goes away to repair like a comms array or something, and then just like slams his fist down on the table.
Yeah, it no words, just him expressing himself, and it's like, look at that, it's great. I'm glad they let that stay in.
That was nice. John Burns says, Deadpool and Wolverine, Canadian actor and superhero. What a combination. Jay Smart says, the Smilo Ren helmet can work on like a heavily armored Wildcat Merc, not a hipster wearing a blackout curtain. Yeah.
I'm just fucking bored of black outfit, mask, heavy breathing, red lightsaber, edgy voice. It's so sad. Darth Vader really did ruin villains.
Well, it is like they've just become clones of clones, and like they've become gradually more retarded and mutated as time goes on. Like Darth Vader, cool as fuck, amazing armor, looks great. Kylo Ren, an inferior copy, and then fucking Smilo Ren, just like a
shadow of an inferior
shit.
copy. Because
yeah,
at least Kylo Ren in universe was trying to copy Vader. Like that was a part of the story. But Smilo he's just a ripoff.
Yeah. John Burns says, in the 80s, Superman 2 near the end, Superman kisses Lois Lane's memory away. After that, the camera pans across to a photo of Bill Cosby on the way. What? Okay. David Gannon says, I was expecting Natasha and Clint in Budapest to be the story in Black Widow. Yeah, I think we all were. It was extremely disappointing, that movie, in so many ways.
That might have made them money, so they do that.
Yeah. Buff Geek says, Drinker, your recapping of 2004 made me hate this current period even more. We didn't realize how much of a golden age we were in back then. Nope, no one did. And now it's gone forever. So I hope you enjoyed it at the time. Well, that's it. Aided Clock says, I know it will never happen, but I would love for a show where reformed Bucky faces an assassination attempt from Taskmaster. I mean, yeah. I'd like to just see Bucky doing anything cool.
Bucky deserved to be a main character in the MCU. They never gave it to him.
Yeah. Ollie Cannonen says, when do we see good screenwriting nowadays? Well,
it's out there.
Yeah, I mean, like we've talked about The Haunting of Hill House, Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, that sort of thing. What is his name again?
Mike Flanagan.
Flanagan, that's the one. Yeah, he does some good stuff. I like his stuff. A lot of the Taylor Sheridan stuff that he's putting out is pretty good. So there is good writing out there.
Well, I mean, Shogun, Gentleman, and House of Dragon.
It can be found, and that's why we try to call it out when we see it. Jayhawker says, I feel like Marvel forgot how to build up characters. The first Avengers was accumulation of multiple movies over multiple years, whereas now the new writers want the payoff without any of the work and setup. That's exactly right, yeah.
Yeah.
And whatever setup they're trying to do, no one cares about because the characters are so shit now. John Burns, Batman in the 40s reminds me of a great comic book where the Nazis tried to kill FDR with a bomber protected by Valkyries. Superman also stars. That's, yeah, true. Panda says, I was hoping after Winter Soldier, the Cap and Black Widow relationship would follow the Ultimate Avengers animated movies rather than what they tried in AOU. What's AOU again? Fuck.
AOU? Avengers AOU. Oh,
Age of Ultron.
Well, but Age of Ultron, I mean, I guess they're talking about putting the Hulk with Black Widow, which, most people see as a bad move. Yeah,
because I sort of felt the chemistry between Black Widow and Steve Rogers. I think that's kind of an interesting pairing, actually.
I think they were having trouble with that. It's funny to talk about this because this was back when they actually had story to care about. Nowadays, it's all a mess. It doesn't matter. But thinking about, like, should Peggy Carter be something that he holds on to for longer than... Should you ever come back in the story? It's like they were clearly fucking around with that. And then they had Sharon Carter, and they were like, is that weird or is that suitable that
she
they would connect over?
Yeah, she was a non-entity, wasn't she?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They introduced it, started up the story, and then they forgot about it. Like, actually forgot about her. And then in Winter Soldier, Captain America and Winter Soldier, whatever. Why have I? That is what that name of that show was, right? Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Jesus, yeah. God, they're melting my brain.
I blanked it there for a minute as well. It's like so forgettable.
So you got that show where she acknowledges in the universe that they just outright forgot about it, including Cap. And it's like, what the fuck? You guys can't put your failings on the characters as writers. Like, Jesus, because she should have been in Infinity War and Endgame if you want to continue his story, but they just didn't have her. And it's like, okay, you got it. Which was weird because the Russos wrote her. They're the ones that created her, as far as I'm aware. But whatever.
I think part of the problem might have been they didn't get the most charismatic actress to play her either. Like, I just forgot.
No, I think you're right. But, considering all of this, it's like, is there room for a Captain America Black Widow relationship? I don't know. And would it have been the best choice? Like, well, hopefully, because I agree with you. I felt their chemistry. I thought they were pretty good together. Winter Soldier's the best sort of dynamic between those two.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like one's an idealistic, like old-fashioned hero from a different
Well,
era. The other one's like super, like morally grey, like who's done lots of crazy stuff. But
that might be one of the later examples of, if you watch that film, there's plenty of sexual chemistry between those two. Like, and it's done relatively subtly. A lot of moments where they're like rammed into a wall together and they look at each other and you're like, it's fine.
Yeah.
We're just doing action scenes. It's fine. You're like, it's like, is there something more there? I don't know. But yeah, they decided not to pursue it. But I'm inclined to agree that might have been the better, because you can have that. You can give that a tragic ending as well, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah. And like, yeah, particularly when you see what happens to her, it's like that could have meant so much more, because like the relationship between her and Clint was just, it was like brother sister kind of thing, like not quite the same.
Which would have been wonderful to explore as well, but the MCU it doesn't run out of chances to miss opportunities, does it?
That's true, yeah. And yeah, watching like Mark Ruffalo and like Scarlett Johansson trying to play off each other in a romantic way, like there was nothing.
Yeah, you can tell that they're both sort of like, this is it. This is what's happening, I guess. And you're like, yep, that's what the writers said happened.
Fuck's sake. Dorito says season 2 Acolyte twins ending. They reunite as one soul. Anakin opens his eyes, and they are him. Thus, Anakin has a light and dark side. How do you feel, Theory? I don't know how Theory feels, but yeah, that's so fucking retarded. I can totally buy it happening. David Gannon says, what made me quit Cobra Kai was how no one could speak English. Every fight could have been avoided if someone had just talked, but nope. Well, I mean, there's kind of more to it than that, and like a lot of the characters don't express themselves in the best way possible, and yeah, they've just got conflicting personalities, so I can see how they become rivals. Like, people don't always get on, and they don't always handle things in the most mature way, especially when you're dealing with like fucking teenagers. John Burns, Detective Batman. So Bruce Wayne actually goes into Wayne Memorial Hospital, chats with guys he kicked the crap out of the night before as Batman. That'd be quite interesting, actually. I'd like that. Casey Boyd, can we get a happy hour on Silence of the Lambs with Mauler? I know you did one, but it seems criminal that Mauler wasn't there for an Anthony Hopkins film. I know. I mean, I have discussed Anthony Hopkins films without Mauler being.
I was going to say, Drinker will go as far as discussing films that I like without me several times. It's fucked up.
So disrespectful.
Yeah, but I've come to understand that's just his flaw.
I mean, I usually get written permission from Mauler before I do it, so it's okay. Connor says, talking about street-level superheroes, it just makes me pine for the days of 1994's The Crow, when now most likely he's taking out 1% satanic rich people in the remake. Also, happy birthday again, Jay. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to describe The Crow as street level. I mean, it is in the sense that he's fighting like regular old humans, and it's not like, galactic ending threats to all of humanity, but it's super it's supernatural based, obviously, like the origins of him as a character, and like the entire world that they've constructed for The Crow is like a real allegory for like people's belief in the afterlife, religion, all that kind of iconography. So it's not quite the same level, and it's very unique in terms of how it functions. Very good film though, quite hard, ahead of its time in terms of like how it approached that comic book superhero adaptation. Casey Boyd says, Drinker, Attack on Titan has 4 seasons, so if you've finished season 3, then you only have 1 season left. What did you think of Erwin's speech at the end of season 3? So I've got a couple of episodes to go in season 3 before I finish it, so I'm not quite there yet. I haven't heard that speech yet, so I'll reserve judgment until I get there. John Dorsey. Interesting interview with Viggo Mortensen in Variety about the 2022 Ron Howard film 13 Lives. Would love to hear the panel's thoughts on this. I'm afraid I haven't seen that interview with him, so I don't know. I haven't heard much from Viggo Mortensen for a long time, actually.
Didn't he recently say he'd be willing to come back as Aragorn if the story were suitable?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I got, and that was just one of those like offhand comments, I suppose. Like, he's pretty old now, and it would be tough for him to play Aragorn at the time that this story's meant to be set, like the hunt for Gollum and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's a younger version of him, so I don't know how they'd make that work. Joel Effler. Hail Drinker and Panel. I'm planning a trip to Scotland to explore my Buchanan heritage on my mother's side around the Loch Lomond area, northeast of Glasgow. Any tips on where to visit? Also, RIP Star Wars. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, I mean, if you're doing some time traveling around Scotland, you're obviously going to want to go to Edinburgh as well. Shit ton of history there. Lots of like amazing places to eat, drink, be merry. And if you can, like, try to then make your way up north towards the Highlands and, get into that sort of Perthshire area. Like, all that stuff's pretty awesome to see. Like, you'll get to see lots of nice scenery, lots of nice castles and stuff, lots of history. It's pretty easy stuff. John Burns says, in Section 31, Star Trek Gestapo. Well, that's kind of what Section 31 is, basically. Yeah, the secret police. Another name says, Mauler and everyone else. Have you watched Freerin? Some of the best characterization and use of pacing that I've seen.
I've heard it recommended a few times. I have not seen it.
Mega Spidey Man, what's your favorite Wolverine moments and why?
I mean, mine are all going to be film related. I'm assuming that's what they're going for.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I'm just scanning myself through like the full set of movies.
I think when in Logan, when he goes full on berserker rage, like when he takes like overdoses on the serum, it's nice to see him go out in a bit of a blaze of glory there and just go like full on rage filled Wolverine one last time. That's always going to be pretty cool.
There's that's what I mean. Like, I don't mean to be generic, but like, I think to so many, he did such a fucking good job of portraying the passion of Wolverine. Remember, like in the mansion in X2, despite the fact that they have access to basically no blood, the rage from him when he's killing the soldiers when they're attacking like a fucking building filled with children, you just feel it. It's like you completely buy that they've just pissed off a monster that's going to annihilate them all.
He always gave 100%, I think, to every movie, even if he was in a pretty shit role and the script wasn't good. Like, he still gave it his best.
Yeah,
and to do that for 20 odd years, that's pretty damn impressive. Excuse me. Waluigi's third leg says, watching this show reminds me of my brother's saying, polish a turd, it's still a turd. It's like how this $180 million breaking canon show proved. Yeah, it's still a turd ultimately. Norm Mann says, I would pay to see Yoda go on a rant like the Palpatine rant in Robot Chicken Star Wars specials. Yeah. That was brilliant. Can't believe you lost a Death Star. Do you have any idea how much they cost? I think he's crying. Dirty Darty says, hello, you beautiful panel. A philosophical Star Wars question. You criticized moral relativism in recent Star Wars works for good reason. What about the one in Knights of the Old Republic 2? Provided interesting ideas and conflicts, pouring philosophical drink. Good question.
It's not moral relativism. It's badly executed moral relativism, because at least we could try and have a discussion on certain difficult topics. Maybe Star Wars isn't necessarily the canvas for that, but you can try and approach it. I think Count Dooku would have captured a completely sort of confusing moral ambiguity as to exactly what should happen during the Clone Wars. I don't think that was executed very well at all by George Lucas, but the character offers that opportunity in spades. Yes. The Emperor does not. No. Do you understand? Like, you're not supposed to. There's certain people, certain contexts. You're supposed to, as a writer, discern the moments where you can inject this sort of idea to make people think a little harder on certain elements. But, try and recognize the time where you need the good guy to kill the bad guy, all right?
Yeah, exactly. B-Man says, the Jedi have been butchered beyond belief under Disney's portrayal of them. The Phantom Menace movie is better than any sequel movies or shows. I mean, it's probably not better than Rogue One, but yeah, I get your point. They have not been well served. But Banana Guy says, Venestra is working for the Sith. She called Palpatine to send a message to Plagueis. That's who said highly unorthodox. It sounded like Palpatine on comms. There's no way Palpatine can be alive at this point in time. Like, he hasn't even been born yet. And if he was, he'd be a little tiny baby Palpatine, so I don't think you'd get much out of him. Sonny Close says, The Acolyte is terrible, not just because it pushes the message, but it's the only show I'm aware of that was written as if they assumed the audience believed it. You can't make moral sense of anything without presuming nonsense is true. I mean, pretty much, yeah. The idea that, like, I don't know, the idea that the audience was really going to get invested in this and that they really thought that they were creating a piece of art that people were going to be hanging off every scene, it's kind of hilarious in retrospect, but man, they were bought into this fully. David Gannon, what I can't stand about post-Empire Yoda is how he spoke backwards for 95% of his lines when he only did it like 40% in Empire. Has he been flanderized?
Probably. Mike actually spoke about this in from RLM when he first talked about TLJ, how Yoda's a goofy clown in that movie, when he can see how people assume Yoda's a goofy clown because of his intro in Empire, but they've for some reason forgotten that was a face he put on. That wasn't him at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird how memory works, but Yoda being a bit of a goofster is like starting to become what people think that's the character is, and it's like it's totally not who Yoda is.
Yeah. Oh, God. It's sad. Fearless Wolf. Is Disney doubling down because social media critiques help them? With viewership less crucial, shouldn't we ignore bad content? They'll be forced to change if there's no engagement or discussion. I mean, ultimately,
you think they'd be
come
forced to change when it cost them $200 million, but they continue. Like, this idea that it's all down to some people talking about it in a negative way or whatever. It's like, no. A lot of these decisions are well out of the audience's hands, which is not right as far as I'm concerned. But hey, what can you do?
Ultimately, social media engagement and just like the amount of people searching for it on Google means nothing if people aren't buying Disney Plus subscriptions to watch this stuff, or as a result of this. That's what they need in order to justify it financially. And it's not happening. Metal Face Rosie, recommending a movie called Director's Cut. It's about an obsessive weirdo who supported a crowd-funded movie who kidnaps the main actress to make his own director's cut. It stars Penn Jillette. Okay.
All right.
Fair enough. Director's cut. Bendick Star says, I can't wait for them to have Yoda abuse his status to make Yaddle have Grogu. Leslie has been writing it, I suppose. JJ Gosling, Basil the Great Force Detective. Casey Boyd, Muller, since your free time is limited, if you decide to watch Mob Psycho 100, I recommend the 3-episode test, 20-minute episodes. If you don't like it after episode 3, then drop it, but I believe that you will.
I'm pretty sure I will. Everyone recommends that, especially on top of One Punch Man. It's just a matter of me finding time. I'm behind on everything.
Yeah, I think we're all in that position. Fiesta Cat. They didn't feel all the Jedi deaths in the Force because all the peace, love, happiness, rainbows, and good thoughts during the High Republic overrode them. Sure, I can believe that. You'd think it would make it more of a stark contrast when people would start dying and suffering, but I guess not.
Nah.
Jamaican Bacon. Hopefully this gets read. Well, it is, so there you go. Proved you wrong. Passion of the Christ currently holds the record for highest grossing R-rated film domestically. Will it be after Deadpool? So... Because we covered Passion of the Christ. It was 2004, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
So that has a global box office of 612 million globally. Deadpool's beaten that easily already. I'm sure the previous Deadpool movies were like 700 odd.
I think some people think that it could be less, I guess, because of the recent superhero fuckery, but I think we're all on the same page but this will be different.
So, yeah, the original Deadpool, so that was 2016, that was 782 million that it made. So I think it will, well, in terms of this one, I think this is going to be a solid 750, 800 million. I don't think it's going to do $1 billion. I just can't see it.
I have no idea. I don't know. This thing could be really. I think it's going to depend on how good it is. Because I'm still kind of worried that it's going to be shit. I don't know what we're getting.
I don't think it's going to be shit. I'm
hope not.
gonna stick my neck out a little bit and say I think it's going to be pretty fun. I think watching, Ryan and Hugh Jackman together is probably going to be pretty rewarding. I think they're going to spark off each other really well. But
I hope so.
I just don't know what it'll translate into box office. Peter Ski says, you're all focused on the Yoda and Plagueis cameos, but what about the headlamp cameo in the Senate briefing scene? This is the important one. Was Leslie Headland in it? I don't know if I didn't see her.
Maybe they're talking about someone else. You're talking about a headlamp. Is it Caddy Mundi? Is he a headlamp? Because I don't know.
Hold on. I'm going to see if...
Dude, if she was in that scene, we would have found out by now.
Nah, there's not much there. Nah, I'm not seeing anything. Okay, yeah, it's maybe referencing something else in that case. Jay Fraser says, with Deadpool and Wolverine coming out next week, what is your favorite X-Men film and character? Also, when is the EFAP movie's Fox X-Men film arc going to happen?
It will. Don't know when, but it will. So favorite movie across the Fox X-Men saga, I guess is the question?
Yes.
So it's between X-Men 2 and Logan and
Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Days of Future Past. I feel like it was an apology for X3. Last Stand.
There's so much I love in that movie. I'm also very critical of lots of it, but by God, what an obviously good idea,
Yeah.
It's one of we don't do those anymore, but we used to.
Yeah, no, I think I might go with that just for the positivity of it and giving it a happy resolution. It was nice.
I mean, so I'll just throw in the argument for the lot. X-Men 2 is just one of the most streamlined, solid story for the X-Men film universe. Very satisfying stories for everybody involved, sort of thing. And then Logan is a goodbye to what is possibly everybody's favorite X-Men in the franchise. It's very respectful and, includes a lot of what you'd expect for that kind of story and a great performance. So that would be the argument for the three of those. As for favorite character, Wolverine's up there for me, but I can't fucking resist loving every second of Ian McKellen's Magneto. He's just brilliant.
He is. He's got... You talk about commanding presence on screen, like, it doesn't get much more commanding than him. Like, he just owns that. And damn, that dude was just having the time of his life, like, bouncing between Gandalf and playing Magneto. Like...
And that's the thing, because... You'd be like, oh, hard shoes to fill. It's like Michael Fassbender was awesome. It's just misused in a lot of ways, right? Like I don't think they quite got what they were trying to do with him fully. Yeah.
Well, he often fell into the same pattern of like, oh, he's found some measure of peace and like left all this stuff behind him. And then it's like something comes along to turn him back to his evil ways. Like, okay, how many times do you want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
John Gates says, positive PSA to offset this new crap. A lot of cities have classic movie showings where a live orchestra plays the score in front, and I can say from experience it was a new level of awesome for Star Wars and Empire. Just got my tickets from Lord of the Rings next year. That would be a pretty fucking special experience.
Yeah.
Just always something awesome about hearing live music like that from an orchestra. It's good stuff. Fiesta Cat. Disney. Nazis are bad. Also Disney. Look how diverse our space Nazis are. Yeah. John Burns. SNL pitch meeting. 2 agencies pitching Cheetos. One has gone super woke and the other one gets told, I just don't see the world you're describing. Yeah. On nuclear. My love for Star Wars is rivaled only by my absolute hatred of Star Wars. That's what they'll do to you these days, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Side with love. Welcome back, Snarky J, and happy birthday. Hail FNT. Thank you. ETK says, I saw Star Wars in 77 when I was 5 years old and watched everything since. The Acolyte ended that. I can't and won't be the only one. Where is the logic to this? There is no logic. It's just
None.
done. Rossi, one of the biggest problems with Disney Star Wars is the complete lack of struggles for main characters. Osha bleeds the lightsaber in seconds. Vader takes damage and hallucinates in order to bleed his. May is mind wiped with ease. KOTOR, it takes 5 Jedi Masters, and they have to bear on, I think it says. But either way, yeah, I guess what they're saying is like it's all just made too easy for your main characters these days. And yeah, you're right. Especially if they're female. Jeb Lawton says, hate and love are two sides of the same coin. Passion. As long as you don't blindly hate or blindly love something, passion is a good thing. Yeah, as long as it's not blinded. But yeah, it should be tempered by a bit of realism, I suppose. MPH Chords says, I remember watching Toy Story 3 in my mid-20s, at a time when I was figuring out how to transition out of my childhood. Watching Andy struggle with what to give away, it was so striking and emotional. It's good stuff, and I think it's nice that they didn't make any more Toy Story movies after the third one, Muller?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
No, I think it's a hallmark of those movies. Like, they hit different when you watch them as an adult, but they mean something to each age group, I suppose, in each generation. And yeah, man, like when you get past the goofy little adventures and the jokes and stuff, it's a pretty poignant sort of journey, I guess, of leaving behind childhoods and moving on in life, and the things that you lose along the way, I suppose. So that's the nature of life, and it's quite well handled in those films. Will Dreamer says, you're all 100% right about kids' movies and shows needing to be smart and meaningful again. They're the future, they're our legacy, and no one wins if they're dumb or morally ignorant. Exactly. And I think, like I said on the night, they're always smarter than you give them credit for, because we were as well. We were smarter and we picked up on more things than our parents ever expected. And then you kind of forget that when you become an adult yourself.
And they can be retarded on so many other things that you forget what they're smart on.
True. Will Dreamer. Quiet Place isn't about living as long as possible as haunted animals. All 3 films are about being human, living civilized despite the risk, having a baby, not cowering behind a waterfall. You might die, but first you actually
live. Sorry. It's not about living longer. It's about being human, and that doesn't include cowering behind a waterfall. What the fuck are you talking about? This is a reference to how stupid that movie is. They established there's this whole stretch of land where there's a waterfall that makes enough noise that you can make whatever noise you want in front of it and you'll never be in danger. Meanwhile, they choose to live semi-close to that area in a house where, fucking stepping slightly wrong will get you killed. So,
is there a reason for that?
No. It's just stupid. They want to have a scene where they can talk to each other with ease, and then you just ask yourself, like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You've been living here for this long, you didn't think to move out there? It was like one of the biggest problems with the whole film. That and included the very retarded choices they make with a lot of different things. But no, I will not buy. That's like telling me, fucking the Star Wars sequel trilogy is about being human, so it doesn't matter that everyone is retarded. I ain't buying that shit.
Nathan says, on this subject, who are your respective childhood heroes that you emulated and resonated with the most? For me, there was Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, Luke, Optimus, and Dragon Ball Z's Goku. I think I've said it before. Like, for me, it was Captain Kirk. That was the hero that I suppose I looked up to the most. Smart, resourceful, a good leader, cared deeply about his friends and the people that were under him, and all around just like I think a pretty well balanced person that had a great love for adventure and exploration and was curious about the universe around him. So
Luke's definitely up there for me. I'm trying to think of like any number ones. I mean, we're gonna get into a bit like Angel would be one of them, but it would take way too long for me to explain exactly why. He's not someone I was about to say Homer Simpson. You'd be like, why? You'd be like, it's complicated. He like does the best he can despite being so shit in a lot of ways. Like the best Simpsons content is always related to him trying his ass off to make something work despite the fact that the tool set he has is very limited, and I've always appreciated that about the character. And then to an extent, Terminator, and I know that's weird too, but like the unyielding fucking mission that robot is on, and it will do everything it can. It'll sacrifice everything. It'll make every decision possible to get that job done. There's something really admirable about it, even though it is a robot.
I think it's an interesting insight there, actually. Like some of your biggest heroes, just like an emotionless killbot and a retard.
I also threw Luke in there, you know.
There you go. Yeah, sorry.
And I also fucking dude. The fourth one was a vampire, so
that's the duality of man, right there.
Mm.
Claudia Pimentel says it's aspirational having an example to strive for. That's why we need heroes. Exactly. And I think it does so much to motivate people to do things that they wouldn't otherwise have striven for or been capable of. Scooter Dog says, Muller and Drinker, please play Tormented Souls. Sounds cheerful.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Maybe one day.
Terra Cannon. Children need black and white growing up. Once the foundation is set, they can properly understand grey. Without this, they grow up with a flawed compass. I don't know if I necessarily hold with that. I think they can understand moral complexity to some degree, but yeah, I think it's also good to give them just unabashedly heroic characters that just emphasize positive traits that they should strive for.
There is no time in your life where you're not going to discover a situation that is more complicated than you expected, right? But what's complicated for a child probably should be a lot less complicated than what is complicated for an adult.
Yeah. Pygmy Splints. Man, when you dig through the 2007 Beowulf film, there is so much to look up to. Perhaps that story is the first superhero story. What do you think? I don't know if it was the first one, but yeah, there's kind of a lot to pick apart with that one, and I'm not 100% familiar with how accurate it is to the lore or to the original sort of Norse poem that it's based on. Yeah, there's a lot to be said, I suppose, about the temptation of whether it's like a person's base desires or the desire for like success, wealth, power, and what cost and what sacrifice it requires, the dangers of covering up past misdeeds and how it's going to come back to haunt you later. It's kind of all dealt with in that movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I would probably need to go back and review it, I suppose, to get a good view of it. But I remember it being quite interesting. Britt Cormier says, Gary and I are the same age. I think his Star Trek example of how our generation grew up into fandom, it was grown-up entertainment but that we did not understand, but we did enjoy. We came to understand the stories as we grew up, and our fandom grew. I do wonder, like, if there's an element of that. You know, when you think back to some movies that you watched as a kid, it's like, I don't fully understand the complexity of what the writers might be trying to say here, but I know I really like it. And then, you know, you get an adult perspective as you go.
Well, I mean, T2 has been a favorite of mine since I can remember. On the surface, it's robots fighting each other to prevent a child who's going to save the world in the future from dying. It's like, okay, this is fun, and the action's amazing, all that stuff. The older you get, I don't know if you've seen videos about this, but there's loads of analysis about the film's perspective on parenthood and the nature of like a father, a mother, and a child, and how the whole system works, the flaws of being without any one element, and then the overbearing nature of it going wrong with certain element. Like the amount that film has to say about family dynamics being so important is insane, and that's something I think a child would be like, "What?" Like, I mean, sure. I just love the movie, and you're like, yeah, that's great. I absolutely think that's true. That there's more to dig out of a film. You can call it text versus subtext.
Yeah. But I think it's a hallmark of the quality that, like, even if you don't have a full view of the subtext there and like everything that it's trying to say, but if it's good enough and entertaining enough on its own, you know, on its more surface level, that you can then stick with it until you get the deeper stuff. That's a pretty damn good movie right there. Ricardo Jones, thank you for having Snarky J. She is fantastic. Please have her back more. Well, I'm sure we will. Jonathan, I listen to you all because your reviews and being a nerd like me, but also to learn how to make my own franchise one day and hope that you all like it. Well, good luck to you.
Yeah.
Riza says Darth plagiarism versus Master Yoda. Tricky.
Darth plagiarism.
OMG puppies. Favorite non-fiction story? Viking Queen Olga ended a siege of an enemy city, demanding tribute of a pigeon per family. Her men released the birds with firebombs. They flew back to their roosts and burned the city to the ground. What the fuck? Sounds good. Okay, go with it. Captain Muddian says, the reason Dooku's saber is so cool is because Sir Christopher, among many other skills, is also a fencer, and he didn't accept any other grip than this, which is so close to a French pistol grip. That's fucking cool if that's true.
I remember reading it was about an ancestor's sword hilt design, which was also curved, but perhaps both. I don't know. In any case, it's fucking iconic, that lightsaber handle.
Yeah. Jen Mai Shah says, stop dooming. Kids are not watching Western media's narcissistic postmodern shows. They watch anime and read manga now. That's why the shows flop. I mean, yeah, definitely those genres are super popular, but like still a lot of kids aren't that aware of them, I think, and they are watching the crap that's being produced over here. So yeah, it's still definitely a problem. If Batman Had a Parrot says, watch the Boogie EFAP. It's life-changing.
Oh, they mean the one before the one we did.
Yeah, we got a new one now, and I'm part of it.
This is becoming really weird that there's usually one super chat that accounts for future EFAP that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's going to happen eventually, you know?
3 times in a row? I'm scared.
Yeah. David Gannon says, Snarky J, Boogie doesn't have issues. He has a full damn subscription. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, little.
I tried to explain who Boogie was in like a few sentences, and it's like, I don't think you can do the man justice without an hour-long video.
No, you can't.
I just think it's awesome that she's never heard of him as well.
Yeah.
Like previous generation of YouTuber, I suppose. Chris Robson says, do you think that without Leslie Headland's self-insert in The Twins, The Acolyte could have been average or better? There's so much potential in storytelling, but it feels like no one has a story worth telling. Love you. Well, yeah, I mean, anything could be better if it was better written, I suppose. I mean, there's a lot of things I would have taken out of The Acolyte to improve it. And yeah, I think I would have not made the twins the main characters. I would have focused on fucking Smilo Ren or Saul or someone.
I wouldn't be doing the twin shit, man. That's out. That's such a dumb idea.
Pooty Evans, I hope Saul's Force Ghost visits Vernestra and is like, what the fuck, V? Why did you do me dirty like that? Yeah, I hope he haunts her. Vimarain says, Mauler, thank you for that 7 hours video. It was sufficiently long. Drinker, do feel free to invite Snarky anytime you want, and it has nothing to do with her being sizzling hot or anything like that. Yes, I'm sure it doesn't. Yeah, like we'll probably have her back on Open Bar, I'm sure. Rolando Ramirez, why does Alan Wake 2 have a 4.9 on Xbox? All the reviews say game of the year or just buy the game, you need it.
Because nobody who even fucking likes that game can tell you why it's good. Because there's nothing in it. It's over. That game did not do well. I don't know, man. I'm not going to rely on sales to prove whether or not something is good or bad, but I do find it curious that it got so much praise, but people didn't care.
Yeah. No, that's curious. Jay Fraser, Guts from Berserk is one of my favorite characters due to his persistence against monsters and demons out to kill him in an almost hopeless world. I recommend the 25-episode anime Berserk, by the way. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. New Life and New Civilizations says, nerdy Star Wars Legends question. Is there an in-universe reason for infant recruitment and no marriage rules starting from KOTOR? Nomi Sunrider was married. I don't know what the reasons for that are.
No marriage? It's the attachment shit, right? Or...
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Jedi, I suppose, yeah, you're not supposed to get attached to people. And are they celibate? I think they are, aren't they?
I don't... Did George want to avoid being specific on that just because he just doesn't like talking about that sort of thing? I don't know.
Probably, yeah. You don't need to know about the sex lives of Jedis. Well, I'm sure we'll hear all about it now in Disney Star Wars.
Woo!
Darian Murphy. Apparently, Paramount cancelled Halo. Yes, they did.
Thank fuck.
Yeah. Small Win says, great show. Have watched 0 Acolyte episodes. Good. Keep it up. Roasted Tunts, it'll be all right on the night, says, for the whole panel, is the Acolyte worse than Flesh Gordon? I mean, is it Flesh Gordon or Flash Gordon? Is Flesh Gordon the porn version or what?
Don't know.
If it was the original 1980s Flash Gordon movie, I would watch that 100 times over rather than watch the Acolyte again.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Daly, when are you getting Thor Skywalker on? Love the show. I don't know. Are we getting Thor Skywalker on here?
I'll have to talk to our producer.
All right. I'll get him on the phone. Albert Nada Retro. The reason for all the hate towards Theory is because he interviewed Sadia Khan and she said Star Wars was a male product. That's it. Ask him next time. I think I
know about that.
Big controversy, yeah.
No, I don't think that's it. I think it's literally that they've lost him as a sort of a way to boost Star Wars. They fucking hate him for that. A lot of the posts relate to his downfall, his failure. He used to be, me and Drinker don't get that. None of the posts about how much we suck has a sort of a veneer of, they used to be good. Sometimes they'll say it about us, I think. Like, I used to watch Drinker when you had integrity. It's the same thing about me. But with Theory, it's always about that. It's like, I used to watch this. I can't believe I used to watch this fucking guy. Ew. And it's like, yeah, what a coincidence you stopped watching him the second he disagreed with you.
Yep. It's they hate nothing worse than one of their own who steps out of line and starts thinking for themselves. So,
and like I told you, man, I was being driven nuts watching these idiots comment on these clips, being like, the only clips I ever see are him hating stuff. It's like, you've seen 3, and they've all been clipped to make you think that.
Yep.
Wake up.
Low information. Planero Tycoon says dead. It says dead Muller. I think you mean dear. Dear Muller, Drinker, and panel. Are you dead? I don't know. Thank you for bringing my love of good stories and media back. I seem to have lost it walking the bullshit of the Acolyte. Yeah, hopefully you can enjoy other good stuff. There is good stuff out there.
Yeah.
Box Fox Scoot says to pay for your rehab after watching the Shackleite. Yes, thank you. I'll get through it now. I'm recovering. Drinker is healing. Nelson Charita says, human society began with stories told around a campfire. We learned humanity through stories and imagination. Stories matter. Yes, they do.
Yep.
They reshape our perception of ourselves and the world around us, and that is an important thing.
They really might be more important than almost all of us even realize. Like, how much the influences can be super subconscious.
Yep. But there they are. And that brings it to an end, our little journey through the world of super chats. So everyone who sent them in, thank you. There's been some really good ones this time, and yeah, it's actually been really fun going through them. I've enjoyed that one. We had a bit of a laugh along the way, so that's all good as well.
What he's saying, everyone, is that he hated all the others.
Yeah, this was the only good one. The rest of the time I just had to suffer through all. Either way, though, the next time you see us will be on the next open bar. So stay tuned and we will catch up with you again soon. But for now, that's all we got. So, like, I don't know, go away or something, I suppose. Go away now.